In May 2026, a local government press conference was derailed by a heckler shouting accusations through a bullhorn. The man attempting to speak over the noise is Clint Curtis, the Registrar of Voters for Shasta County, California. His official mandate is administrative, managing secure and orderly elections for the county's 180,000 residents. Curtis is currently fighting to save his professional career from severe allegations of workplace harassment. A routine human resources dispute has transformed into a public struggle for political survival. Cutting through the noise of local politics requires dedicated reporting, which brings us to today's sponsor, Shasta Unfiltered. An investigative firm called the Oppenheimer Group recently validated hostile work environment complaints against Curtis. Yet the very employees who work in his office stood next to him at the podium, publicly rejecting the investigation's claims. The situation presents a choice between an abusive manager manipulating his staff and an external investigation misreading a weaponized office dynamic. Curtis immediately went on the offensive, comparing his treatment by the county to the public prosecution of former President Donald Trump. He insists the accusations clash with his character, noting that he rarely disciplines staff and never yells, curses, or drinks. To prove his innocence, he claims he passed a polygraph test with a 99.9% accuracy rate, evidence he says county personnel ignored. Instead of stepping back, he announced his intent to sue the Oppenheimer Group, describing them to the press as a predetermined hit group. Curtis frames the situation as a coordinated assault designed to force him out of office, rather than a standard HR dispute. The investigation leaked an allegation that Curtis explicitly threatened to drag an employee out of an office by her hair. Elections worker Laura Hobbs countered this account. She testified that an uncooperative employee had barricaded herself in a room to avoid training a new worker. Hobbs submitted a signed declaration stating Curtis remained calm. He warned the employee that if she locked the door, they would move her to a doorless cubicle. Hobbs insists there was no threat of physical violence. Staff members Patty Plum and Marjorie Andrews expanded on this incident, describing a broader dysfunction within the department. They used the term Clint derangement syndrome to describe the extreme resistance they witnessed from longtime middle management. According to Andrews and Plum, entrenched staff created daily obstacles, stonewalled directives, and tried to undermine Curtis's new procedures. The office friction represents a structural war between established bureaucrats and an outsider demanding transparency. To understand why these reforms caused such friction, citizen election observer Kari Chilson detailed the opacity of the previous administration. She described Shasta County's past process as a hidden election, where observers faced poor treatment, including being paraded to restrooms with what she called a cane of shame. Curtis implemented physical transparency in the office, opening new public observation rooms and installing increased camera surveillance to ensure oversight. This transparency was met by opposition like that of Dolores Lucero, the self-proclaimed watchdog whose continuous shouting disrupted the press conference. Her presence reflects the intense external pressure aimed at stopping systemic changes to the county's election process. Following the press conference, Curtis refused to resign despite the Oppenheimer Group's findings and the public pressure. He issued an ultimatum. The Board of Supervisors must conduct a balanced investigation that incorporates his staff's perjury-backed testimony. When an elections office is paralyzed by internal sabotage and weaponized complaints, standard civic operations fail. As local election administration becomes increasingly volatile, the friction directly undermines public confidence in the voting process. Securing transparency in local government is a continuous struggle that requires constant public vigilance. If you want to see more investigations into complex local stories, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with your network. And for more deep dives and honest news from the North State, visit our sponsor at shastaunfiltered.com.